Hi everyone. I'm going to read from The Other Indians today, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, and it says 118 to 129, but I'm just going to read a section of it, and then there also will be another question for you to do a discussion post on. So here we go. The Other Indians. By noon we caught up to them. They were lazy and messy, and we'd walked over more blatant tracks and litter than we'd seen for months. So, remember that they've realized there are some other people and they're going to find them. And this is kind of significant. Blatant, that's one of our vocab words, meaning unashamed, unhidden, or in your face. It's kind of important because they're not trying to hide. And if these guys are truly Indians, then they should be trying to hide and not leaving litter. Okay, I'll keep reading. That was just a note. I think the author is trying to get me to recognize something's off here. And today they hadn't even bothered to pack up and walk. Instead, when She-Boy and I made it to the perimeter of their campground, they were just messing around. The tall Nish, with broad shoulders and long thin hair pulled back into two scraggly braids under his red hat, was carving a small piece of wood, leaning back into a folding chair against a tree. The other man, dressed in head-to-toe camouflage that did him no good lying on the ground by the small fire, seemed to be napping, his brimmed camo hat pulled down over his face. What could they possibly be waiting around for? We reported back to Mig, who waited with the group a little further out. I don't like it. Let's stick together and make sure the girls are in sight at all times, said Mig. He spoke to the two of us alone. When he mentioned keeping the girls safe, I looked over at Rose, who stood by Minerva's trailer holding Riri's hand. Chi-Boy kept his eyes on Wab for the rest of the conversation. Chi-Boy, you keep your knife at the ready. And French? He handed me one of the two rifles we possessed. This is loaded for now, and it will stay that way until we get past these two and back out on our own. I nodded and shouldered the gun. I was comfortable with it. We all were. Meg had made sure of it. I could shoot a squirrel off a branch if I had to, though there wouldn't be enough meat left for a toddler. I'd figured that one out the hard way. We joined the rest. Well, the strangers are just past those pines. We can't rightly avoid them, and we have an obligation to see who they are and if they need help, or if maybe one of us knows one of them from before. But if they are true strangers, we need to keep moving. And if they are more than strangers, if they turn out to be dangerous, we need to think of each other and ourselves first. We have to. Mig's tones spread a look of anxiety among the group, all except for Riri, who looked excited. Are they kids, French? Her little voice got high-pitched. Nah, Ree, they're grown-ups. 2 men. Oh. She kicked up the ground in her muddy pink rubber boots. Maybe they got kids somewhere else, though, huh? Maybe that's where they're going. Sure, Ree. Maybe, I said. Wab pulled her over and squeezed her in tight so that her toque slipped down over her eyes to the bridge of her nose. The little girl smiled in the embrace. Okay, then. Let's head over. I'll take the front with French. Regular formation, Chi-Boy at back. We assembled under his instruction and pushed into the bush. We were 2 rows back when a man yelled out, Who's there? Meg and I exchanged silent looks. It wasn't that we'd been discovered that made us wary. It was that they were confident enough to call out. What if they were recruiters? What if they were deranged townies? What if by chance we were game that could feed them? Who would take such a chance? I picked up more of Mig's anxiety about the strangers. Mig stood to his full height and pulled at the strap of his gun so that it swung around his body. He held it in both hands, pointing it into the clearing. Ahin? Silence. Anandi Wim Bahan. Mig asked where they were from, in Native American. Playing Indian geography meant you could figure out who was who before they even saw them. And for Mig, I could see why it was doubly important to establish nationhood. Silence. Then the reply came from a second voice. Buzu, Anashnabi? Nin Mingwangs Ninizankas. Mig moved slowly forward, introducing himself, and asking for a name in return. Ananin Ezhin Kanzyon? Nin Travis, Nininzhankas. Mumbling from their end, and then another voice. Lincoln, from Hobema Nation, out west, Tanzi. The second man, the one who had called out to us at first, answered in English, and then greeted Mig in Cree. All the while, Mig slowly crept forward. I stayed in the space left between him and the group. Mig turned back to us and motioned us forward with his head, still holding the gun at waist height. So I'm going to pause here for a minute because I think it's really important. I was just reading some of the Native American, and if you could see it, it is not the easiest to say, but I think the author put this in here to show the importance of their language. This is part of who they are. So like my family is Norwegian, and sometimes they speak Norwegian. It's important for who we are, my background. Some of you may have the same. And it's not like a secret language, but it's your language. It's important. So I think that's why she didn't just write it in English, because they wouldn't say that in English. They'd actually use their own language. I'm coming into the clearing. I have 9 others with me, said Mig. Uh-huh. Okay. He broke through the last row with us just behind him and entering the clearing. The tall, long-haired man was standing beside the fire, his chair and wood abandoned behind, but the knife still in his ham fist. The shorter camo man stood a little in front, his hat pulled back now to reveal a scraggly mustache and small eyes. He looked a bit younger than Mig and addressed him as older brother. Ahin Nisei. He stepped forward and the pair shook hands. Then he stepped back and pointed to his companion. This here's Lincoln. Lincoln just nodded, then turned and threw his knife, so it stuck into the tree behind his chair. He was less than interested. This is my family. Mig held his hand out to us, and we approached in a bundle. My boys, Xingwang, Tree, French, Slopper, and Chi. My daughters, Wob, Rose, and Riri, and Nokomis, Minerva. Ahin, Nokomis. The man named Travis bowed at the waist to Minerva, who giggled and swiveled her hips a bit. She was as delighted with the introduction as she was with the melodic sounds of her language sprinkled over the woods, even if the words were said clumsily and even out of order at times. If I hadn't been flooded with adrenaline and worry, I would have mouthed each one after it was said, shoving them into my pockets like sweets to suck on later. 10! That's a pretty big family. Lucky man, Nisei. Travis looked us all over once and then back again, like he was assessing us. When his eyes got to Wob, they grew bigger, and his smile faltered, but he recovered quickly. Uh-huh. Mig was still cautious. Well, we're heading through this way, so we won't get in your way here. I turned to look at Wob. Her one eye was so narrow, I would have thought it was closed shut, if not for the glint in there. Stay for food! Our hunt was good, said Travis. He was eager to move away from Wob's glare, and took a few steps forward towards the fire. He pointed to a cauldron hanging over the fire, on an old lead pipe. Venison stew. He picked up 2 sticks that were lying in the pit. Each one had clumps of browning dough caught on the bark. Bread! My mouth filled with water. Slopper exclaimed out loud, Oh my goodness! We don't want to take your supplies. We'll manage. Mig had released the gun when he shook hands, and it hung at his side. When he pulled the strap to realign it on his back, I shouldered my own. I wasn't sure if he picked up on Wob's reaction to the man. I was a bit distracted by the smells and the thought of the food, to be honest. I pleaded in my head to be allowed to stay, but knew better than to say anything out loud. I wasn't one of the kids anymore. All right, that's where I'm going to stop for now. My question, and I'll post them as well on the asynchronous slides, my question is, would you stay or would you not, and why? So would you stay or would you not, and why? And then any responses or reactions to these 2 new men. So would you stay, why or why not, and what's your first impression or first reaction to these new men? Right, we're stopping at 122, and we'll have a few pages left for when I see you guys next. Have a great day. Bye.